love, you're listening to the Died on Ashanta podcast. I'm a resilience strategist and migrant integration specialist who has spent the last 20 years traveling, working, and studying throughout the Caribbean, North America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. As a globetrotter, I quickly learned how to bounce back from crisis and how to thrive in new and strange places. I've used my training and experience to develop a resilience-based framework, and now I help others to get over the hurdles that come with living in a foreign country. Now on this podcast, I invite you to join me on this journey of living with simplicity, joy, and resiliency. From green smoothies to goal setting, we'll cover it all. We'll talk about all the things that help us to thrive through the storm. Welcome to the Died on Ashanta podcast. This is episode 30, and today we're talking about sticking to the facts. Now, you are probably wondering, what facts are we talking about? Well, we make a lot of decisions based on the facts that we have in our head. We build our relationships based on the facts we have in our head, and even the emotions that we experience, that we process or repress from day to day are based on the facts in our head. The question comes up though, are they really facts that you're using? Are you sure that what you're basing your beliefs, your lifestyle, your choices on are facts? Well, it so happens that we automatically think, speak, and even act based on a lot of assumptions. And assumptions are these unquestioned beliefs that we have, unquestioned ideas that we hold as true. And what this ends up causing is that if it is you have an idea, some conclusion in your mind that has not been tested, has not been questioned for validity or accuracy, and you are generating thought patterns, belief systems, making choices, embracing or rejecting people, you are doing everything just based on assumptions, then that could really cause a lot of mental stress in your life. It could cause a lot of mental pain instead of mental rest and mental pleasure. And this definitely is going to take away from your ability to thrive through the regular storms that come and go from day to day. So today, as we explore how we can replenish, sustain, and even restore broken down mental resilience, I want to encourage you to stick to the facts. Now, when we think about emotions, we are thinking about things that are triggered based on the thoughts that we hold in our head. So our thoughts lead to our worldviews, our thoughts lead to, and these worldviews lead to the lifestyle choices that we make. It leads to the types of relationships we have with people in different degrees. It could be the person that's on the public transport that you take. It could be how you choose to deal with someone from a different ethnic group or religious background, etc. All of these are founded on those thoughts, which are sometimes based on assumptions. So all of this comes up in our emotions and our mind. Now, what if we are basing everything off half truths? Because that's what assumptions are. They're a little bit of fact mixed in with some half truths. Misinformation, that is what makes something an assumption, because you're not quite sure, but you're convinced and you hold on to it dearly. And sometimes your assumptions have a sprinkle of lies in it. And this is what we call intrinsic bias, things that you believe but you aren't even conscious of it. And it's so important that we test the information that's in our heads, the information that we accept from others, and even the information we share. Because if you make an assumption and then you pass this information on as fact or whole truth to someone else, then you are just spreading the assumption, the misinformation, these half truths even further. So I would recommend that we always try to fact check. If something comes to mind and you are not sure, try to focus on what you actually know as true. Now, let's think of a practical example. There is an African proverb that says, "No one knows how the water enters the coconut." No one knows how the water enters the coconut. Now, we know just by shaking the coconut that there is some liquid in it. Past experience has taught us that we call this liquid coconut water. So if you take up a coconut, you shake it, and you hear that familiar fluid sound rattling around in the shell, then you say, okay, water is in the coconut. But how it ended up in there, that part you don't know. Now, what do? Do you spend the time debating and arguing with someone, or on a hunt asking many people, how does the water end up in the coconut? Or do you stick to the facts that you know? There is water in this coconut, versus maybe a dry coconut that you take up and you shake it and there's no sound. So you know this one is a dry coconut, this one is not, it has water. Those are the facts that you can stick to. So there are going to be times when you can get all the information that you need to make a decision and move forward. And sometimes you only have a bit of it. Try in those cases as much as is possible to stick to the facts, because if we allow our thoughts to run away with half truths or any misinformation, we just create even more mental strain for ourselves, because we're kind of filling in the gaps with things that have no basis, have no facts supporting them, no evidence. And it can just create a long-term problem for us when we are filling in these gaps with mistruths. Okay, so start by questioning yourself. If you have a certain feeling or the temptation to feel a particular way based on an idea that comes to mind, you ask yourself, do I have all the facts? Do I know that this idea, this thought that's crossing my mind is absolutely true? And if you can not answer yourself with 100% confidence that this idea, this thought, this concept that I'm holding is accurate, it is founded with evidence to support it, then try asking others. It could be someone with more experience, someone who is responsible to give the information. Ask others. And even with asking yourself for the facts, asking others for the facts, always be sure to question the validity of the information that you receive. Because if you receive the wrong information and you make choices, you deal with people in the wrong way based on this false information, then sometimes we can end up in a situation of great regret. Just imagine yourself going into a place where you either assume or you were misinformed that person A is the manager, but person B is the subordinate staff. And so you totally decide that, okay, I'm not going to spend any time talking to the subordinate because I need to just come in, go straight to the manager, get this thing signed off, and you leave. Only to find out later maybe the person you asked to sign the document is indeed the subordinate staff member, and you should have spoken to the other person to get them to sign it. So your documents are signed by the wrong person, and now you are having a headache. You are experiencing mental stress. Now, this is a trivial example, but it could go to maybe more serious scenarios about how, and this doesn't mean you were unkind, it just means you made a decision, you took action based on misinformation. So always check with yourself, do I have all the facts? And base your decisions on evidence that you have to support any idea, any thought that you have in your head. And if you feel that you don't have all the facts necessary to make your decisions, check with someone else, someone with experience, someone with access to information, someone who has walked the path before. And once you get this information, whether you will source it yourself or through someone else, question the validity of the information. A lot of the distress that we experience from day to day is based on misinformation and assumptions. So if we want to reduce or better manage the stresses in our lives, just getting the facts right can definitely help. So if you are interested in exploring some more simple strategies that you can use to boost your mind, mood, and mental health, to increase your mental resilience, and I highly recommend a tiny but powerful book by Dr. Caroline Leaf. It's called 101 Ways to Be Less Stressed. So check it out. In fact, I have been going through this book with daily TikTok videos, going over some of the tips that Dr. Leaf shares in this book. So you can check out my TikTok channel, Resilient Foreigner. That's at Resilient Foreigner on TikTok, to see some of these videos. And let me get your feedback about how you are reducing the stress in your life and improving your mental resilience. Until next time, have a great week. Thanks so much for listening, love. If you enjoyed this episode, head over to didanashanta.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's message. Be sure to drop your email address so I can send you some helpful resources, updates, and the occasional music video that I may have on repeat. Make sure you subscribe and spread the love with someone you care about.